RNG just settling for that Arden for themselves. As for the side of Bren Esports, you mentioned Rhyme is still open. Rhyme does decently well against good frontliners like that of Arden, like that of Lance. Only reason because he can just stack so much fortified health onto these captains. But we will see once again a Petal coming through, and I sound very, very surprised, but he has been in Bren Esports' kit to constantly just pick up Petal.
Yeah, Bren Esports going once again for that weapon Petal. Most likely they could flex that into the jungle if Renagades decide to go for a crawl or a Rhyme. So that's a nice flex pick for them. But as I said, most likely to be in the lane. Weapon Petal didn't get any changes, so still just as strong as before. But they don't want to go Crystal Petal against Rhyme, so they're going to ban Rhyme. That makes a lot of sense. They couldn't pick it themselves, and he's such a strong hero. It's hard to counter Rhyme. Crystal Petal can do quite well, but they don't want to try it. So now what Renagades have got is they've got a couple of captains they could try and ban. Maybe they want to try and ban something like Kestrel, but then they're going to ban Alpha. So they don't want the Petal Alpha first couple of picks. I think that would be a really risky pick, because if they went for Petal Alpha straight away, you're giving away your carries, and so Renagades could have picked it themselves, but perhaps they don't want to. Now, Lyra, the most likely pick, but Grace also is an option. Lots of captains that Bren Esports could go for.
Yep, if not, then Lance as well. Mr. Jim has, or rather Guessing X, very, very good on those Lance. Very on point with those impales and even the Gitian walls as well. Very good playing captain, or rather, making captain that can make plays, but they will settle and go for the Catherine. I'm not surprised this time RNG will actually go for Adagio. They've been known to play Adagio against Petal, whether weapon or crystal, and Adagio, the range is just so very long, but they will go for that Saw, and this is something that I really wanted to see, and I've been saying that since last week, so I'm gleaming right now, and I'm just really happy that this Saw is being picked up by the side of RNG.
I said I wanted to see a Saw yesterday, and we're seeing it today. Most likely going to be put against that Petal. And a Reza! I think Renagades have just listened to play, and they're just going to play all of it. They're going to play Saw, they're going to play Reza. That Petal is going to get deleted off the face of the map. There is no protection for the Petal. There's only CC, which if a Crucible comes through or Reflex blocks come through, then Catherine's CC becomes useless, and Petal's going to get blown up. So as Weapon Petal in lane, that is going to be so tough. You've got Saw pressuring you early game. Reza with that Aftershock proc, if he builds an Aftershock, and an Aftershock proc if he just uses his B. And they're going to last pick Celeste. That's a risky pick against Reza. Reza's great at diving in. Reza's great at executing a target, especially a squishy one. So what Bren Esports have got to do is, if the game gets late game, if they can survive from Renegade's onslaught that is going to happen early on, then they have a chance.
I'm so happy with that Saw and Reza pickup coming through from Renegades. Saw very, very strong in the early game, as you've mentioned. The first turret's held 3,000, dropped down to 2,000. A good time for Saw to be in the meta, to be completely honest. Can just easily push down the first turret. And you have Reza, as long as you don't go for that Storm Crown, it's not quite needed anymore. Rush it Aftershock and put as much pressure onto this Celeste as possible. You can definitely trump this early game going into late game. And as with the Celeste pickup coming up from the side of Bren Esports, I'm very, very unsure right now. I'm basically sitting at the seesaw, which, I'm at the center, right? Because Celeste, not a lot of builds have come up for her that is quite meta quality just yet, and she really needs a lot of crystal items this time round to put out very equal damage as compared to, say, a Reza with just one Aftershock into a Dragon's Eye or a Broken Myth, or as compared to a Saw. Yes, you have got a lot of stuns, you have got a lot of CCs coming out from the side of Bren Esports, but it's whether or not you can lock the Reza down. Crucibles can be picked up on Saw. That is quite the go-to pickup for a lot of Saws out there in the past. So what do you think? I mean, whose draft do you think has got the upper hand throughout the game? Don't just talk about one section of the game, but throughout the game.
Well, throughout the game, it literally changes completely. The draft is so much in favour of Bren Esports late game and in favour of Renegades early game. And so I suppose in the middle of the game, the draft is pretty even. In terms of how the compositions work together, well, Catherine doesn't work that well with Petal and Celeste, because Catherine's an engager. Celeste and Petal, when Petal's weapon, are really backline, trying to poke and trying to keep their distance. So Catherine doesn't work that well with them. Arden works with everyone, as you said, really flexible for what kind of composition he can work with. This comp is very aggressive. Reza's going to jump in, Arden can protect him with that. Saw, if he's allowed to, and if he can stay within range, will kill pretty much anyone that gets close, even if Saw's lower on health when the fight starts. So I think I like what Renegades have done, mainly because I wanted to see a Saw. We've seen it. I wanted to see a Reza. We've seen it. They've gone for both those heroes. But I think if it does scale to late game, if Saw decides that he cannot push those turrets down, Celeste comes up to lane, stops the turrets being pushed early, then it should be in favour of Bren Esports.
Yep, it should be favour of Bren Esports if Renegades cannot push the early game, but we've seen how Renegades play before. They really like the early game aggression, and with their team comp, they will be able to do it. Whereas for the side of Bren Esports, right, these two teams, they are very, very different in terms of how they play. Bren Esports, they like to turtle up. They do not like to go aggressive in the early game because of this pattern. They can be aggressive in terms of early game maneuver into the Elder Treant. Once they fight over it, generally you'll see Bren Esports just turtling up, just farming, staying safe, and they can just come up in the late game, force team fights after team fights, and can easily take you down. Whereas RNG, if you want to play passive, you are playing into the win conditions of Renegades. Renegades, they can put on so much pressure in that of lane, and as with jungle as well. So I'm quite excited to see how this game will turn out, and how Saw will be able to just push objectives after objectives. In the late game, however, I must agree with you. Saw just lacks movement speed. Unless, of course, you have the epic talent, speedy spin up. You can, max spin up, and then you can just walk really, really quickly. Maybe it'll work for you. But coming to this game, it will be difficult to just play around the Saw and your Reza, who likes to be in the midst, in the far end, trying to take down Celeste, if not then Petal.
Yeah, I think the talents have been disabled. We'll have to wait and see if Saw decides to pick that one up. But thank you for that analysis, Luxuria. We are now loading into the Halcyon Fold for the first game between these two teams. And casting this game alongside me, it will be I Requested You.
Hello, and thanks to Luxuria and yourself for going through that draft in a very interesting one at that. I mean, the Saw pickup coming out for the side of Renegades, definitely a bit of a surprise there, but also that pickup onto Reza, I'm sure you'll be quite happy with.
Yeah, definitely. I think this draft is something different to what we've always seen. The Reza, I've always said he's really good. He's been seen in other regions. Tons SEA have not decided to play him that much. But this game, he's going to dive in onto the Petal. And what do you think, Alquest Joe? Do you think we're going to see the Reza Saw? Is it going to work out well? Or will the more meta of Weapon Petal and Celeste come through for Bren Esports?
Well, I think it's going to be in neither team's favor because they've got different, I guess, power spikes overall. If you look at RNG with the early game and then the side of Bren with the late game, that's how it could be seen. Unless RNG are just able to snowball the early game, then they might be able to take it through into the mid and just finish out off the back of the first Kraken.
Yeah, I think really the first Kraken is Renegade's breaking point. They have to try and win with it or just after it, because otherwise they would be in a tough position. Bren Esports starting up this Elder.
Yep, and it looks like they're going to go in. Chingy trying to be aggressive, but they're not going to follow through with anything. So after that, they're just going to let the side of Bren Esports go back to base, pick up some extra items to help them out. And they're going to need, as we see Uni already up in this lane, going to be working on pushing down that turret. And as Luxuria said in the draft, it's a lot easier for Saw in the current meta to push down that initial first turret. So it's not a bad pick at all. And personally, I've seen it a lot in solo queue for SEA. And I just wasn't expecting it in the pro scenes because I figured it could be countered easily. However, the comp, they've done a good job by picking up that Celeste on the side of Bren Esports, knowing that once Celeste can get to level 8, they'll be able to outrange Saw. and I've actually played Celeste into a Soul pick before, and I don't think that's bad at all. However, this Petal is going to have quite a bit of trouble. The Munion's always going to be going down straight away to this Soul, and other than that, if Pel tries to jump anywhere near them, it's going to get taken out. But right now, there's a fight going down in the jungle as Arden going to pick up the kill alongside Chingy on that Reza onto that of Sync 1 on the Celeste, and guessing soon to follow. So a double kill going over early to the side of RNG, just going to help them that much more in the early game.
Yeah, Reza gets the credit for one, and Arden gets the other, pushing Reza towards Aftershock, and Arden towards in. And Mr. Jim has been jumping around an awful lot, trying to get that increased range from his trampoline, but it's really tough for Mr. Jim. He's actually got 2 points in his A ability in the Bramblethorn Seeds as opposed to 2 in the trampoline. I'd expect that for the overdriven range that he goes from trampoline, because if he can outrange Saw, as you said, that's what Celeste tries to do. If Petal can do the same, that'll work out really well. But Saw going to push the turret, but not going to get anything from it, so he's going to go back to shop and probably go towards the Sorrow Blade as opposed to a Serpent's Mask first. It does look like he might be going Serpent's Mask, but I think Sorrow Blade does a lot more work in this patch. Minion Candy will be kind of useless. Stun out of the Suppressing Fire from Saw means he does lose all his stacks, so smart play from the Guessing X, making Saw lose a minion. Yeah, that Minion Candy kind of useless. Uni's still going to kill this wave remarkably quickly, but no, he misses 2 CS on the turret. So well played from Mr. Jim, using that Minion Candy to put him slightly ahead on CS, but once again, Uni going to push this wave up. Petal did port home, and Guessing X, he's going to come back. Uni either going to go on the turret or try and poke out the members of Bren Esports. Doesn't look like they want to fight, and Uni, great stuff from Catherine in the fight.
Everyone on Bren Esports trying to go in, but Uni just kiting it out, taking down the Celeste. Will fall to Mr. Jim on that Petal, however. You can see if a core collapse had landed, maybe they would have had the man advantage there and Celeste wouldn't have fallen. But Uni doing a good job there with the stutter stepping, I should say, on that Saw, which helps out a lot, just a lot more than, of course you could play Saw, he gets the ramped up attack speed when his gun's fully spun up, but really the key to being a good Saw player is the stutter steps there to just make it that much more effective, and constantly trying to be putting aggression onto this turret. I like the Arden pickup for the side of RNG. It does keep Saw safe most of the time with that Vanguard. However, I'm not too sure about the Reza in the jungle. I would have liked to see a jungler with maybe some form of CC able to go up into lane and help Saw just lock down those kills.
Yeah, I think Reza's more about just bursting down this Petal, trying to secure her. 1 stun on Uni, 2 stuns.
Yep, it gets caught down that core collapse, this time working out for the side of Bren Esports. So you talked about in the draft as well that Petal would have a bit of a problem because, we'll see Chingy going on, but Reza uses the Neverform Detonator, and Mr. Jim going low isn't going to fall. However, Chingy might be the one to fall, and he's going to turn her around onto Sync 1. Wow, the damage on this Reza with the Aftershock, and I'm starting to like Reza myself as well now.
Yeah, Reza going towards the jungle. He gets the root on to Guessing X. He's going to run away, and this turret's going to go down. Saw's pushing it. Petal's nowhere near. Yeah, turret's gone. One thing Shingy did was try to get a basic attack onto Mr. Jim when he had Aftershock put ready, but basic attacked a minion by accident, so Mr. Jim survived just barely. And I really like the Reza just because this is how strong he is. You're seeing Reza just come through with that Aftershock. This Sync 1 got bursted down from like a quarter health to just nothing immediately. One basic attack with the Aftershock proc and the Troublemaker bonus damage. It's just too much. And Tier 1 tower goes down, Uni probably going to try and push a bit more. But as you saw earlier on, if he gets CC chained, he's gone. No block yet for him. He's picked up a Soul Blade and Infusion. But if he doesn't block the first stun and then run away from the second, maybe use his boots to try and run around it. As you said, his stuff stepping so important on Saw, not to get extra attacks because it really doesn't do that much for you, but all about getting positioning, trying to kite around, dodge as much as you can from Celeste and see what's going to happen.
Yep, and there's the Vanguard onto Uni. He is standing near that Heliogenesis, but Chingy just going to go in deep onto the backline, gets so much damage down with the Neverform Detonator, and picks up the double, or not quite the double, one of those kills going over to Uni, but guessing the only one left remaining, and they're going to get an early second turret because of it. Usually we see in normal games, teams gain the first turret around the 7-minute mark, and here we see RNG already getting the second turret and a sentry at 6 minutes 40 in.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Saw. If you manage to get a slight advantage, turret's gone. If Saw's in lane, you take a fight, you get a single kill, Turret is just going to be dead. Because if they try and fight Saw, he can turn on them, do a lot of damage, maybe fall himself, but then Reza will be able to pick up the ace. The Saw's going to burst them down to almost nothing, Reza's going to burst them down to nothing. Now Uni could be in trouble. A nice roadie run, going to get away, and he's going to try and clear this wave. And whoops, the wave's just gone. So Uni does get that wave cleared. Now Renegade unable to do anything because they've taken 2 turrets already. So I think Saw will probably just either try and keep this lane from going into his turret, or maybe go to Reza's back. But no, he's going to stay here, make sure that Petal doesn't push the wave a bit too hard. Because Renegades need to win another fight before they get anything.
Yeah. They might go. I understand that maybe it is a bit risky to go for that gold mine, and you see Guessing just making sure they don't do that. Boy flaring out the Tribe Rush, sees that Guessing is there. I think for now the best play for the side of Renegades should be to keep this wave pushed up, and by doing so either open up an opportunity to rotate down to gold mine, or they have to kind of wait and force a team fight so they can then have a more safe opportunity to do so. But we'll just have to see. Here's Chingy now being able to take over that Tribe Rush, with Guessing stepping out for a second. He is in the way and is forcing out that Merciless Pursuit, so the CC is down for a bit, but they're not going to engage off the back of that. And I do like what you said earlier when I said, well, I didn't know why RNG picked up a jungler without CC, and you said, well, it's because of the burst. And just within the last 2 team fights, and I'm not even sure if I could call them team fights at this point, because Chiggy on that Reza just puts so much damage down. And I see what you mean there. There's going to be Guessing going in with the Blast Tremor. The Gauntlet catches out Mr. Jim, and he's taken out instantly by the Saw and Chingy. Sync 1 now going to be the next target, being chased down, running back towards the Crystal Sentry. But Chingy on the pursuit with that Reza, just so... they should rename Chingy's abilities, just all of them now, to Merciless Pursuit, because that was just horrible for Sync 1, could not escape. And now the Crystal Sentry going to be the next target after that anchor turret. And we see that RNG just getting so much after every team fight.
Yeah, that's the benefit of a Saw comp, is some compositions are really good in team fights, but you can't get objectives from them. This comp is good in team fights early on, balls of late game, but if you get a slight lead, objectives have gone. As long as Saw gets that Vanguard to speed him towards wherever he needs to be, once he's there, turret's going to fall, center's going to fall, backs are going to fall. And Catherine now picking up the Atlas, I think, well, I said she should have got that earlier, but that's the second item. Guessing X has rushed Atlas after found him, but just been unable to get so. Look at Boy, already on 3 items, Guessing X only on 2. So this is a really nice gold lead for Renegades. They're ahead in items, massively ahead in terms of damage. You saw a great block on the Blast Tremor from Boy. That was useless from Guessing X, didn't accomplish anything. And then the Gauntlet stunning up Petal. Saw did get stunned up by Catherine's Merciless Pursuit anyway, but once he was out, Petal was just stuck between a Reza and a Saw, and he just went down. Sync 1 trying to get as much damage onto this tier 1 type, but it's really nothing. Shingy is being so aggressive with his positioning because he can. I think Renegades start up the gold mine now, force a fight, because Bren Esports aren't going to fight you unless they have something to contest over. So yeah, Renegades start this up, and they don't care where Bren Esports are. They see them, they fight. If not, they'll roadie run and secure this gold mine with the Dank Shank.
Guessing gonna go in with the Merciless Pursuit. Solar Storm comes through, does not steal, however, to get body blocked, so good positioning there by the side of Renegades, like usual when taking those objectives, making sure if any global ults are present on the enemy team to be wary of that and position themselves correctly. Now we see a possible engage from the side of RNG, just pushing back the side of Bren Esports for now as Uni rotating back to that turret, going to clear it, and now they're focused back onto this lane. And at this point they can just kind of continue pushing up into the enemy jungle, might go towards that Crystal Sentry, which I believe they'd be able to eliminate if they make the rotation down. Otherwise, continuing to put down pressure on lane is not a bad idea at all, as we see Chingy going in with the Neverform Detonator, trying to find something off the back of it. Sync 1 fairly low on that backline, but not going to be able to catch them out this time, and Chingy very quickly low on energy there, only with the Aftershock and Dragon's Eye, so going to be using up a lot of that energy quite quickly, no real chance to regen it. So with that, RNG having to back out, but they're not going to go empty-handed as they eliminate the Sentry.
Yeah, very early Central elimination. 11.5 minutes in, Soar's picked up his Solar Blade double Tyrants. Petal's got Solar Blade double Tornado Trigger, so the carries are very easy. Tier 3 items. Soar with a block to try and block that Atlas coming up from Catherine. Petal without anything for the Gauntlet, which could be a bit of trouble given Catherine hasn't got a Crucible yet. So we're going to try and run away with that ready one. We're going to get a nice bit of damage to Singwon, but Singwon's going to get more onto Soar. But no, the team's just going to back off, waiting for Reza to come up, and now Renegades are looking to fight. Bren Esports are like, nah, we'll get a bit of damage and we'll just back off. Singwon going to poke, but Guessing X needs to get Crucible for this Gauntlet, because if Petal gets caught out, Reza's going to delete her regardless of having energy or not. As long as he gets enough for an A, then he'll be fine. Tezaboy though, could be out of position. He's going to run away and have to boots to keep himself alive, so that's not up. He can afford War Treads. I think he wants to get Echo instead, so that boots won't be up for a little bit. And Uni is in a really good position. I don't know what Renegades are going to try and do here, because in order to push down those 2 Vein Crystal turrets, they basically need 2 aces in a row. You need to get an ace in order to push the wave towards the turret, then get an ace at the turret in order to take it. So they really either have to keep their advantage and try and wait for Kraken, or find force fight around Goldmine, because Sentry isn't available. So they could just run towards the jungle and see what happens.
Well, I think for side of Renegades probably looking for more objectives here and just control, as you said, trying to hold on to it until Kraken's up. But we can see that Bren Esports doing a good job of keeping this lane pushed with Mr. Jim and Sync1 both trying to go up there. There's good use of the Merciless Pursuit, stops Soar from getting those stacks, but no follow-up engage from Bren Esports. Instead, here comes out the engage from Renegades, as we see Never Formed Air Air followed up by the Gauntlet, but can they get anything out of it? Chingy going fairly low, need to back out already, but we see Soar on the backline getting spun up, might be the chance here. Solar Storm comes out, there's going to be the core collapse, stuns up Uni and Tezaboy. Can Bren Esports turn it around? But the Soar just able to pick up the Petal, but Petal gets betrayed off there. Now Chingy and Tezaboy having to run. Sync1 still has enough energy to fight and definitely enough health in this situation. So they're going to try push for something. And I think this is really good for the side of Bren Esports, as they're starting to, I guess, slow down the advantage that Renegades had. And Renegades maybe even pushing it too quickly, because now they don't really have anywhere to go other than Sing up in that lane. And then whenever they try to rotate down to jungle, we see Bren Esports with very aggressive pushes up there.
Yeah, a couple of kills given over, a shutdown given away by Uni, but nothing lost for Renegades in that fight. No gold mine, no minions, no anything, no damage on the turret even, because Petal did go down when Uni decided he's had enough of backing off. He knew the stun was down for Catherine, so he just went in. And Renegades start up this Goldmine. That's going to go down to Soar like instantly. Goldmine doesn't scale with health anymore. Health doesn't scale into late game anymore. Atlas onto the Petal. Soar's going to try and get this. He does get it with the shank. Atlas does land, and the Bren Esports want to fight.
Ooh, however, Soar now without any stacks. Bren Esports looking for that fight. There's going to be the Gauntlet trapping them in there. And wow, Chiggy up the backline, taking down Sync1, is able to do so. Still alive, able to get the Petal with the help of Soar. Soar already stacked up after Bren Esports not able to find the chance to jump onto him. And now Guessing, being the last one alive, is going to try do whatever they can to stop Soar from taking this Kraken. But really just going towards Soar is going to be a bit of a problem, as Guessing will get burnt down fairly quickly. Has vision on it, could go in with the Blast Tremor, but no, a bit too late. Did think about it, however not able to land it. A bit mistiming there, as Chingy might have even accelerated that taking there. I didn't quite see when he got back to the fight, but now Renegades with a Kraken to go into the base. 27 seconds on that Gauntlet. It should be up by the time they enter the base and get towards the turrets, I should say.
Yeah, Guessing X tried to use the Blast Tremor to steal Kraken, or just to stop the ace buff, but that was wasted, not up for another minute. This entire team fight. Renegades might even win the game before that Blast Tremor's back up, so that could be bad for Bren Esports. And now Renegades looking to push through in, Gauntlet is up soon, Chingy going in.
Yeah, Blast Tremor would be a good ability to use in that choke point as Renegades push through, but now Tezaboy with the Gauntlet back up once again. Another 18 seconds until Echo, however, but he might just use it early anyway. We'll see Chingy using Never Formed Detonator early. Is quite low, but he's away from the danger at the moment, trying to just back around these turrets. There's the Echoed Gauntlet, and it's going to be big. And now we see Chingy might trade out with Mr. Jim, but going fairly low himself. There's going to be the Crystal. Doesn't even matter as Renegades, just with that team comp, so focused on taking that down. And wow, they all stay alive at the end there as well. So I mean, bonus points there for Renegades as they make the Saw Arden Reza comp work out. Now, Minnie, how did you feel about how Renegades played that comp? Did you think there were a few, it was played to perfection, or were there some things they could have done better?
Well, Saw died 3 times, so it wasn't perfect. It wasn't a flawless game. They did lose a team fight in the end, Renegade. Reza was forced to run away and port home. Saw died, and Arden was just trying to help Reza run away. But apart from that, it was pretty flawless.